What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the RPO College Football Podcast, your favorite podcast. My name is Jerome Jones, your humble host, and we got none other than the man, the myth, the legend. Y'all already know who he is. I know who he is. That's all know who he is. Mr. Ray Roberts. How you doing?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
Doing great, man. How's your summer, man? I know it's a long road. Football's getting a little bit closer, not quite here yet, but it's getting a little closer. How's your summer been, man?
Very hot. Sticky.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's very hot right now. Literally just turned on AC, so I'm super hot. I've been having like mosquitoes in my room. I'm trying to get rid of these mosquitoes, but I've been like literally itching. So if you see me itching, mosquitoes and nothing else. But let's get right into it, man. Ray, we just finished up our top players of every position, top 5 players of every position last week. So if you guys have not seen that, you can go back and watch that. But we did do that, and so we appreciate that. We're gonna go into some new topics this week. We're talking about some teams, individual teams, and break down each team. But before we do that, I want to give our sponsors a big thank you. Phenom and Elite, as you see right up there, they are sponsored with this podcast and help powering this podcast. So I want to thank them. If you would love to have some great football, soccer, lacrosse, I think they have baseball as well. So you go on our website, it's phenomelitebrand.com. You go in there and find some great gear. We always get sponsored by football stuff, obviously the football company. So, you get yourself a nice mouthpiece. We got some really cool gloves and different type of colors. You get a nice red right there. You got a neon green for your neon people right there. You want to be the classic like myself. I love the classic. So it's a nice white with the stuff right there. And I want to tell you my favorite color is the blue one. And I'm going to put it on real quick so y'all can see how it looks and it feels. Nice little glove right there. Nice little feel. Goes right in your hand. Nice right there. Got that stickiness. It's been out the package for a couple. Look, it's stick to carton. So that's how sticky it is. It's been out the package for a couple of days now. So nice little design inside as well. So if you want to go into the season looking fly, get the best gear, nice breathable gloves. I love this. I was a big glove person, but I couldn't wear any gloves because gloves make your hands sweaty and things like that. It's very breathable. It's stretchy. You don't have to worry about it. You got the little, the the ventilation right there as well. So very good gloves. You want to try it out yourself. You can save money on it too by going to our promo code at the top inside the hashtag ICH football. Go to our website, get that promo code on and save 10%. Save some money and look fly, man. So go to phenomelitebrand.com and definitely get that QR code so you can save some money. So thank you, Phenom, for being our sponsor today. And let's get right into it, right? Because we're about to talk about some teams, individual teams. But before we do that, man, I want to talk about some of these conferences. Now, we have some conferences differences. One of the things that we're going to be talking about today, I could not find them because we currently have the Pac-12 is currently a Pac-2 at the moment. So I just want to know what's the biggest, not really a surprise, but what's your biggest interest in how some of these alignments are with some of the teams going to certain conferences and things like that?
I'm not a fan of it because I'm a traditionalist, but I understand that's the way of what college sports are now. Yeah. I think, why even have a Big Two? I don't get that. I mean, just make them or have them join another conference. Do something. So who are they competing against? Each other all year?
We're going to talk about Oregon State. Oregon State is one of those two that's in its own conference. It's Oregon State and it's Washington State. They're both in the Pac-2. So they will have full schedule. I think it's going to be a little bit mixed up. Some of the teams that used to play and some other teams as well that they contracted with. But it's an interesting situation with Pac-2. They said they're trying to stand strong with the two teams this year and going to build up that. We'll see how that goes. I'm curious to see. I don't know if this is possible, but I would like to see some of the some lower ranked teams maybe move up and move into Pac-2, and then we get a couple more, FBS teams. I don't know if that's a possibility or what some of the ramifications on that. We should go on that if that something like that will
I mean,
happen.
I could see them doing something like that. Maybe a lower division teams move up into that conference. I mean, it would make some sense as long as I think it makes more sense as long as they're in the same area in the country.
Yeah.
But again, the Pac-2 is meaningless to me. So
It is. It don't feel right. It don't sound right. It just sounds weird, right?
I mean, people will kill Notre Dame because they think that Notre Dame should be in a conference, and I don't agree or disagree. I think it is what it is. But I think, what is the difference between that and being in the Pac-2? I mean, why don't you just be an independent for a year or two so you figure out what you're going to do with those teams?
Very true.
Why not have an independent conference?
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be independent anymore, though, if it was independent.
Well, what is the difference, though? I mean, or make them. I mean, I guess you can't really make them do anything, but have them join the Pac-10 or something else. I mean,
it's weird down
it
there.
doesn't make a lot of sense to me. That's all.
Nah, I think. I don't know, but let's get to our first team, and we'll definitely talk about the Pac-2 a little bit more, but we definitely talk about the Pac-2 team today. So let's get to our first one. We're going to talk about the what I love to say, Memphis Grizzlies or Memphis Tigers. I'm still a basketball move, guys. Memphis Tigers. So let's talk about a little bit of their overall from last year. We're going to talk about the schedule from last year, and we're going to talk about a little bit of the roster. But let's get right into before we get into the roster, let's get into their overall from last year. Last year they ended up at 10-3, which is good overall. They was 6-2 in the conference, which means they was 4-1 outside of conference. What's your thoughts on them as a whole, Ray?
Pretty good program in the American Conference for the conference that they're in. They're a good program. 10-3, the highest scoring offense team in their conference. So they're, Ryan Silverman's a very good offensive mind. He does a good job coaching their offense. Their defense is never great. They averaged 29.4 points the last year, but they gave up 28 points a game. So they're always on we score a lot of points, but we give up a lot of points type of a team. But in their conference, they're always one of the better teams. So,
Understand. Now let's move on to the roster, right? They got a lot of quarterback positions. I feel like it's going to need a little bit of help, obviously. It looks like they're going to be quarterback position is going to be led by Seth Hagan, I believe.
Hennigan, yeah.
Yeah. So Seth Hagan. Yep. He's a senior right now. 6'3", 215 pounds. Yeah, he looks like he's going to be the starter there. We got, as far as their running back, going to be Mario Anderson. They got Ross Keller, Kobe Drake, Demir Blankowski.
Blankowski. They're actually Rock Taylor and Demir Blankowski are very good, very productive. Yeah. The quarterback's very, very productive, good solid arm, good football player. I mean, the offense is going to be who's going to take up the production that Blake Watson at running back gave them last year is going to be the big question.
100%. What's your thoughts on their offensive line, Ray? Because I know you're an offensive line guy.
Their center, Jonah Gamble, is very good. Their right guard, Xavier Hill, is very good. And the other guys are good, solid football players, and they're all seniors. So you would think there's going to be if nothing else, they should be very cohesive and do a good job. So
definitely. My biggest concern with them is that three of their linemen are transfer guys. So we're going to see how the camaraderie goes. I mean, they're going to be practicing together, you know what I mean, and things like that. They had their spring training, but I want to see how they kind of get together as a unit. I don't think people understand how much a offensive line needs to be a unit. It can't be individualized. They got to work together in unison. Do you have any concerns with that, with them having 3 transfers?
Of course, anytime you have new guys on the team, it's going to take time to get acquainted, to be adjusted to each other, and know what the other guy's thinking and what he's going to do. But again, senior guys that probably have played a lot of football, so I'm expecting them again, Silverman, to figure it out.
I understand. All right, let's move on to our defense. Defense is going to be led by a lot of seniors on the defensive side as well. I don't think they have any starters. It's not going to be senior actually this season either. They got their defensive tackle, Patrick Lewis, who just transferred in as well. He's going to be your nose tackle. You got guys like Chandler Martin, Matt Houston, he's going to be a linebacker there, just transferred in. Damian Ross, their cornerback. Just to name a few. Any players that kind of stick out to you on the defense, right?
I mean, Greg Rubin is a senior safety. He's a good football player, good tackler. Like you said, Chandler Martin's a pretty good football player. Kevontae Spears is a interior defensive pass rusher, good football player. Cremonte Hamilton is a senior who's a good, solid football player. Their defense gets pushed around a little bit. That's what scares me.
100%. Yeah, they do have a redshirt sophomore actually and a junior. So 2 of the linebackers, Demonte Minkles is the sophomore, and Chandler Martin is the junior. They got a couple of juniors actually. I lied a little bit, but a lot of seniors, which is a good thing. So have that experience, but again, you got 4 transfers in that unit as well. So, but yeah.
You know what, Jerome? I agree with what you're saying, but that is college football now. So everything has that. Everything has 2, 3, 4 guys coming in from other programs, other teams. So I think it's going to be the way of what college football is now. So everybody's got to get used to something new.
Understand. So let's talk about their schedule, if I can pull it up quick. Where are they? I'm sorry, I got rid of my tab back then. Here we go. So for this year, first game they're gonna go against North Alabama. They're gonna follow that by Troy, FSU, Navy, Middle Tennessee State, South Florida, North Texas, Charlotte, UTSA, right? UAB, and Tulane to finish up the season. So with their schedule looking at how it does right now, Ray, what's your prediction for them?
I would say, you know what, Jerome, probably right around the same as last year. Maybe 9-4, 10-3, somewhere right in that area. Of course, the Florida State game is going to be a tough game for them. At Navy is going to be a tough game for them because Navy is a physical team, and that's the kind of teams that kind of give them a hard time.
Yeah.
UTSA, UAB, and Tulane are all quality programs, but none of them, except for Florida State, I think should be like way better than them. So.
Yeah. I might even throw South Florida. They look like they got some good recruits the last couple of years. I think they're gonna be better than most people think. So we're gonna talk about them in the future, but I think that they might be another one. But I agree with you, Ray. Look right around the same. Some of these teams might sneak up on them, like a Tulane, UTSA, Middle Tennessee, Navy. So games are gonna be a little bit closer. Even Troy, actually. Troy's not an easy game either. So I think looking at those teams, a couple of teams could sneak up on them. But for the most part, the biggest threat is, Florida State, and I think at least South Florida. That's their biggest threat, in my opinion. So I think that, they can, if they do what they're supposed to, the team, veteran-looking teams, don't have a lot of young guys really playing or starting, rather. Obviously, you're going to have some guys that are going to be contributing, but, if they can stick to how they were last year, a big thing is the running back that left last year, see how, he was a big impact on the team. So we'll see if they can weather that. But other than that, I think they'll be around the same, right? I agree with you.
I do. I think that, like you said, I think a couple of them games would be a little bit tougher. But last year, their schedule was a little bit easier than this year. But they won big games against Boise State. They won against South Florida last year. They beat South Florida 59-5 last year.
Yeah.
So I agree with you that South Florida is not a pushover team, but 59-5. Wow.
Yeah. That's wild. That's wild. All right, let's move on to our next team. As we were talking about, Oregon State, who's in the Pac-2 right now. Another team that, was pretty good last year, 8-5. I've seen a lot of their games last year. I actually thought they were going to be a little bit better than 8-5 last year. I remember talking about it. But, 8-5, some teams sneak up on them, things like that. What's your overall thoughts on this team, right?
I think that they're a solid team. I don't think they're anything great about them. They were 7-5 last year, so we'll see. I don't want to get into their schedule right away, but it doesn't look that difficult. But again, we're not talking about an Oregon State team that's loaded with talent. They're a good, solid team.
Yeah, and this is a team led by DJ Ugo. For a second, I'm messing up. But DJU, he was on the team. He was the quarterback last year. Everybody's laughing at him. But this year is going to be a little bit different. Obviously, Ben Bronson, I think I said his name.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be the starter. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was injured, or he just got injured or something like that. I could be wrong. Not sure, but I'm gonna look this up right now. We'll take while we're on here. But what's your take on the quarterback position for them, Ray?
You got Jabari Johnson, who's a transfer from Missouri, is going to be playing there. I'm sorry, Giovanni McCoy is a transfer from Idaho who's going to be playing quarterback. So, they have transfers all over this team. So again, that's just the nature of college football right now. So I don't. Again, I'm not a big fan of it. Head coach is Trent Bray, who's a good, solid coach. They were a good, solid team last year. Again, 7-5. If you look at their records, though, their scores, there were a couple games they lost that were close games, and they played a fairly decent schedule. They beat Utah, which was one of their big wins last year.
100%. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I want to point out Ben is not injured, so I want to get that out there. So I don't want to scare anybody, any Oregon State fans. I must have thought it was another player or something like that, but he's not injured. But yeah, Ben is getting a lot of good praise on his skill set. A lot of people think he's going to be a good guy, a good player to be in there. He's only a junior, so he got another year of eligibility as well. What's your thoughts on the rest of the offense? They got a couple of guys that are there, like Jeremiah Noga, David Wells is going to be a slot guy. Ex-receiver. Darius Clemens, who just transferred in. What's your thoughts overall?
They're very young at wide receiver. That would be my real biggest concern. Very, very young. They had Trent Walker, who's a junior. Zachary Cord, who's a freshman. David Wells, who's a freshman. And then the young guys you just talked about coming in to the program. So they're really, really young at wide receiver.
100%. Running back position, they got Jim Griffin, who's a senior transfer that just came in. We got another senior junior transfer came in, Anthony Dickinson. So they got most of the running backs are all transfers outside of Jake Ritchie, who's a sophomore right now.
If you look at their roster, that would be the other thing that would scare me a little bit. If you look at their roster, they only have 2 starting returners from last year, and that's their left guard and their tight end. They're the only returning starters from last year.
Yeah. So very interesting.
Yeah.
See how that goes. With Ben having a younger, less experienced team. We'll see how that goes right there. What's your thoughts on the offensive line as a whole, though, Ray?
Again, Joshua Gray is a good, solid starting, returning senior who's a good, solid player. A lot of other guys are either young or transferring from another team. So we'll see again how that goes. I mean, again, this is college football now, so you're going to be hearing this over and over again about kids moving into these teams from other programs.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it, but I know that's where the sport is going. So
I'm saying. Let's talk about the defense. Led by senior Nico Teller's going to be there for a linebacker. I think he transferred last year. I could be wrong on that, or just he came in this year or last year. I can't remember. We got Jaden Robinson, who's their one of the senior corners as well. They got the other corner that transferred in, Kobe Singleton, going to be there as well. But after that, you got a couple of young guys, highlighting their inside middle linebacker. It's going to be Isaiah Crimson. He's going to be starting for them as a freshman. He's a redshirt freshman, but still a freshman. So what's your thoughts on the defense? It's pretty young in certain spots.
Very young. That would be like, they have 4 seniors in the whole thing, and a couple of them guys are transferring from other teams. So again, it's about getting your feet under it. But they're in the Pac-2, so the competition isn't exactly stellar. So
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about the Pac-2. Or their schedule, right? Because obviously a lot of people, including yourself, wondering who they're going to be playing. They're still going to play some conference guys and everything. They have a pretty tough schedule, I would say. So let's get right into it. Yeah, the first game is going to be Idaho State, right there. Then they got San Diego State. Oregon's going to be next after that. Purdue. Colorado State, Nevada, UNLV, Cal, St. Joseph's State, Air Force. They're going to have Washington State and finish it up with Boise. So with that schedule, Ray, what's your thoughts on this one?
You know what, Jerome? I think they may not even win 7 games this year.
Yeah.
I think that's a fairly tough schedule, man. I think Idaho State's not a pushover. I'm trying to see if they played them last year. They did not. So I don't really have a whole lot to go on, but for that. They beat San Diego State last year pretty convincingly, 42-17. So hopefully that should be a win for them. They played them away both times. So Oregon is not a game they're going to win. Purdue is a tough team, physical team. And that's kind of team is going to give them a hard time. So I'm not saying they're going to lose that game, but it's not going to be a pushover. Nevada is not an easy game. At Nevada, who scores points, is not an easy game. UNLV is not a great program. At Cal is hit and miss. They're a good, solid defense. Their offense is, again, a little sputtery.
Yeah.
San Jose State is a solid team in the conference they were playing in before. Nothing special. Washington State, of course, they have to play. And then Boise State, Boise State's not a pushover program. So that's honestly, I don't see them winning more than 6 or 7 games at the most.
I'm giving them 6.
Yeah.
I'm giving them 6. Yeah. And that's a close 6. Because I feel like Air Force can beat them. That's a hard team to kind of beat sometimes with all the misdirections and stuff they do. They can sneak up on teams. Especially if you have a lot of young players on defense, you got to be very sound when you're playing, those teams with the, multiple option runs and stuff like that, triple options and all that stuff like that. You got teams like that, you got to have a disciplined defense. And they got a young defense. Not saying they can't do it, but a younger defense means that less experience where, they can be full very easy. So I do have them winning that game, but that's going to be a tight one, for them as well. So I'm going to give them right at 6, right, with that as well. So, which is going to bring them 2 games right under what they had last year. So.
Yeah, I don't see them getting a lot of turnover on the program, so we'll see. I don't. It's really hard to get a feel for a 2-team conference.
Yeah.
There's no rivalry games anymore.
Yeah. No, it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays out for sure.
It can't last. I mean, they can try to experiment for a year or 2, but it can't really last longer than that. It can't. There has to either be a thought of them joining another conference, or like we talked about earlier, maybe taking lower level teams and adding them to the Big 12 and recreating that conference if that's what they want to do. I don't think that's what they want to do. I really think if college football had its way, they'd have like 4 super conferences and that would be it.
Yeah.
I really do.
And it was speculation that they're going to try to do that very soon. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition.
I think eventually that's where it's heading to. And the shame of it is that like the American Conference, what's going to happen to that? Which is a good conference, but not an elite conference.
Right.
So what's going to happen to a conference like that? And will they ever really have a chance of competing for a national title, even if they ever expand them, no matter how far they expand the playoffs? So
yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see how they do that for sure.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the next team. We're going to go to Auburn. So Auburn, obviously, an SEC team. I don't think they're going anywhere. But let's talk about their team, Ray, and let's start with their schedule from last year. They ended up at, where is it?
6 and 7.
So obviously that was a disappointing season for them. There was only 3 and 5 in their conference last year, almost to the bottom of the conference last year. So we'll definitely see how they do this year. What's your total overall thoughts on the team, Ray?
I know they didn't have a good year last year. I think they're going to be a little better this year, though. I do. I think that there's a veteran team with a lot of returning starters on offensive line. Tight end, Peyton Thorne, the starting quarterback, is actually a good, solid quarterback. Jaquez Hunter, the running back, is a senior. He's a good football player. I think their offense is going to be very good. I think a lot of it depends on their defense. Even though their defense was pretty solid last year, they need to be a little better against the run. That's all.
100%. You already highlighted the quarterback, Peyton Thorne, is going to be the starter over there. Got a lot of experience as a senior there. Pretty good guy. He got a lot of new receivers that's coming in for him. But hey, man, I know I'm gonna list the other receivers, but I know everybody knows the one. Obviously, they got Robert Lewis, who's coming in as a transfer senior. Got Keandre Levert Smith, who's coming in as a receiver. But I know everybody is ecstatic about the freshman. Obviously, Cam Coleman. Looking really good in spring ball, one of the higher rated players coming out. What's your thoughts on him, Ray?
He's very talented, man. I just want to see if he is going to how they're going to use him. Are they going to move him around? Are they going to let him play out wide? I would move this kid around and do a lot of different creative stuff with him because he's very talented. He's a freshman. We'll see how that goes. But again, they don't really know. They don't really know a lot about him yet. I mean, except for how he was recruited. But he's very talented. We'll see what happens. I mean, I think he's going to be. And Peyton Thorne is a good veteran college player, so I think they're going to be. I think they should be pretty good right away.
100%. Yeah, I got him listed as 6'3", 107 pounds. So big guy. Gonna be. He got the speed on him, coming straight out of Central High School. Starting right away. We already seen some of the stuff that he was doing in spring camp. He looked like a veteran up there, man. So with him having a veteran quarterback, I think that definitely helps him out right there as well, right? What's your thoughts on the offensive line, though?
Two returning seniors. Actually, three returning seniors. One was not a starter last year, Percy Lewis. So we'll see how good he's going to be. But again, I think it's a good, solid offensive line. I think their offense is going to be good. I think Jocko Hunter, the running back, is very good. I think the offense is going to be good. I just need the defense not to be lights out like Auburn's defenses used to be, but better against the run, getting the ball back for their offense.
I'm saying. Yeah, man, I agree with that, man. And you point out Connor Lew, who's going to be a sophomore coming in this year. He's a guy that we actually got to interview here and with Inside the Hatchet. Really good player. I think he's going to be really good. But it's funny because the fact that he's replacing another guy that we interviewed, Tate Johnson, who was the starter for a couple of years now, tells you a lot about Connor Lew. He's going to be the starter over Tate Johnson. So that tells you a lot about Connor Lew. We like both the guys, but Connor Lew is different type of breed, man. Coming in as a sophomore and taking over a redshirt senior. Tells you a lot about him. So he's a big college on that offensive line. Very much think he will. He's really good in high school, so we will definitely see how he does there. Let's get into the defense, Ray. A couple of key pieces in there. They got a lot of so their defense is a little different. They got a position called the block position, which is essentially a safety linebacker. Am I correct, Ray?
Yep.
Gotcha. So the buck position is going to be led by Jalen McLeod. Obviously, they got their nose tackle, Jason Jones, up back there. A couple of seniors in the background that, Smith as a safety over there. They got Keelan Lee, who's a sophomore. I think that's going to be an interesting position battle because they got a freshman that's in there right now, Jay Crawford. A guy that played as well, played really well as well. So that's going to be a close one to look at. I think Keelan Lee's going to start right there. He's only a sophomore. But don't be surprised to see a little bit more Crawford in there as well. Obviously, it's going to be his first year, so we'll see how that goes. So that's one of the biggest position battles back there right now, I think. So what's your thoughts on the defense, though, Rick?
They play like you said, a hybrid, like almost like a 3-3-5, type of defense. So it's a little different. I don't like it against run because to me, if you block two or three guys, you can gash them. But again, they're talented. They have three returning seniors and they're up front on their front seven. So I think they're going to be solid. They were okay last year. They were solid defense last year. Their schedule is not that difficult, so I think they'll be pretty good.
They lost a lot of pieces to the NFL draft, though. They lost 3 corners, I believe.
Yeah.
3 DBs, rather. I'm not just label them as DBs, but they lost 3 DBs this past draft cycle. So we'll see how they do because, they're a little bit younger in the secondary. They use a lot more secondary players than a normal team would.
They do.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic goes, losing 3 of their guys, and they play a lot more DB. So, which is another reason why I think Jay Crawford has a chance to actually start this year. But we'll definitely see.
I mean, that's going to be the interesting part of it. Are they going to improve on last year with bringing in more younger guys? We'll see that.
I'm saying. All right, let's get into their schedule for this year. So, starting off the year with Alabama A&M, they're gonna play home versus Cal. They're gonna play New Mexico at home, Arkansas at home, and Oklahoma. So that's 5 home games to start. They're gonna at Georgia, at Missouri, at Kentucky, Then they're gonna be home for the next 3 games versus Vanderbilt, UL Monroe, and Texas A&M, and then they're gonna be away for Alabama to close out the season. Looking at the schedule, Ray, what you thinking?
You know what, Drum? I'm thinking maybe 6 wins, 7 wins again. I don't see them beating Alabama, Texas A&M, Missouri, or Georgia. The other games are winnable games.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them 6 again. I'm
Yeah.
also going. Yeah, they're gonna have a hard stretch with Oklahoma, Georgia, Missouri,
I mean,
Kentucky.
even Arkansas was a pretty solid team last year.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed out on Arkansas. Yeah, so Arkansas as well. I got them win. I think they're gonna come out with a hot start. Cal has a chance to beat them. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a solid game, depending on how Cal's defense and depending on how Cal's offense responds to that defense that they have. But I think that can be a close game. But their next win after that, New Mexico, and then after that, maybe Vanderbilt. I think it should be Vanderbilt, but then it's gonna be a close game. You got Louisiana Monroe right there that they should beat. Then the last 2, man, that's rough. That's rough. Texas A&M and then Alabama. So they might feel good in the beginning with maybe a 3-1 type of record, but then afterwards it's rough going after that. They're gonna have to beat one season 2.
I mean, there's really a tough stretch of games right there. Arkansas, Oklahoma, Georgia, Missouri. Kentucky's not a bad defensive team either. So there are no pushovers there at all. And like you said, they close it out with Texas A&M and Alabama. I don't think if they win out of those 6 games I just said, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Georgia, Missouri, Texas A&M, and Alabama, if they win 2 of them games, they're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they will. I think they'll lose all of those games, to be honest with you. If you had to ask me right now, looking at their team, bringing in younger guys, here's the one advantage they have. They do have 5 returning starters on defense and 6 on offense. So that's the one advantage they have. But they do have a very tough schedule through the middle part and then the end of the season. So
I understand. No, I agree. So we'll definitely see how it goes, man. I'm rooting for Auburn. Got a couple of guys that we interview on that team, so I would love to have success. But just looking at it on paper, man, it's not looking good. It's not looking good right now.
Doesn't look good.
100%. All right, let's get to our next team. It's going to be Colorado, the darling team of college football right now, man. Last year they ended the season 4-8. Really hot start, man. Only winning 1 out of 9 game conference games last year. So 1-8 last year. What's your thoughts on the Bucs this year?
I think they'll be better. Honestly, is Deion going to be there for a long haul? Is he going to continue to move this team upwards and make them a better program? I believe he will, but I do wonder if he sticks it out for very much longer, past 1 or 2 more years. But they're a talented roster on defense, and they have a talented player quarterback, so I think they'll be okay.
100%. No, I agree. Let's talk about it. Shedeur Sanders is going to be their starting quarterback again. Obviously, that's the son of Deion Sanders, head coach. Projected to be a high drafted pick this year. We'll definitely see how that plays out. And he's surrounded by a lot of good weapons, man. Will Shepherd, obviously, senior wide receiver over there. Jimmy Horn Jr., obviously, and Travis Hunter. We talked about Travis Hunter last week. With him, being on that team and possibly, playing both sides again like he was last year. I don't know if they're gonna cut his time. It doesn't seem like they were. So really good weapons. Obviously say Damon Hayden. the running back, really speedy running back. What's your thoughts on this team right here, right? Offensively, or with your reference to guys?
I think they're Jimmy Horn and Travis Hunter are both good football players. I think Will Shepard's a solid receiver. We all know Shador Sanders is very talented. My question would be their offensive line. They were not very good last year, and they need to improve very much if they're really going to be taking serious at Colorado. So,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Offensive line is gonna have to definitely improve. They got a whole bunch of transfers, young guys that's in there. Khalil Benson at the right tackle. Justin Mayer at the right guard. Their center who's coming back, Hank Delanoski, I believe you say his name. He's gonna be a sophomore. You got Taylor Brown coming back, and Jordan Seaton who's gonna be a freshman. Really talented freshman. Don't get me wrong. I believe he was either a 4-star or 5-star offensive lineman there. So I think the offensive line will be better, but it's going to be interesting to see, like I said earlier, having that camaraderie with a whole new offensive line. Only 2 returning players, and out of the 2 players that are returning, one of them was a freshman last year. So we'll see how that offensive line goes. But they're probably going to need that offensive line to be way better than what Portia Jordan had any success, because he led the league last year in sacks.
yeah.
So
you know what, Jerome? Here's nothing like. Do you know that Travis Hunter played 116 snaps per game last year? That's nuts, man. That's crazy. That's asking for injury is what it is. So.
Yeah, and that's a big hit if that's your star guy. It's a huge hit with that being your star guy. We'll definitely see how that goes, man. But let's talk about the defense, though. He's playing defense as well. He's turning at corner. They're starting cornerback right there, so we'll see how that goes as well. Shiloh Sanders, obviously another son of Dion's gonna be playing safety, returning as safety. They got what's his name? Shaduzi Wanatu. Can't say that name, sorry. As a nose tackle, Shane Cooks is gonna be the other tackle right over there. Samuel Akulola, sorry. Is their butt safety linebacker guy they have right there as well. Trevor Woods is coming back as the linebacker as well. Just to name a few. Ray, what's your thoughts on the defense?
Again, they kind of play like a hybrid 3-3-5. Again, I think that you can run on those defenses pretty easily if you block well up front. The only thing with looking at their schedule, they don't really play any really super physical teams except for none. So except for Texas Tech, who's not a bad team, they don't play any physical teams. So I don't think that should be a problem. I think that honestly, they need to outscore teams. That should be the goal. It should be the outscore teams. I mean, try to run the ball a little bit more. Use the quarterback play action. Let him hit some plays downfield. I mean, Travis Hunter is very talented. But again, I think you should play him 15 snaps on offense a game. If it were me, if it were my guy, I would play him 15 snaps. But they have him listed as a starter, so he's going to play way more than that. So,
100%. Yeah, we're definitely see how that goes. Let's get to the schedule this year, right? Right off the bat, playing North Dakota State. Now, most people are going to be like, North Dakota State, they should win the game. North Dakota State is a really good football team, and I honestly think they should be in the FBS. They're not going to. They're not going to jump over because they're dominating so much at their level right now. But that's an interesting game, right? That's going to tell. I feel like that's going to tell you a lot about Colorado this year. And we're going to see how they can do against a good caliber team. Obviously, they're not FBS, but they're a team that's always in the mix every year. So the championship, I think they won the last 3 or 4 actually in a row. So dominant team at their level. We'll see how that goes. Next game after that, they are going to be at Nebraska, at Colorado State. They're going to be home versus Baylor. They're going to be at USC, home versus Kansas State, at Arizona, home versus Tennessee, at Texas Tech, home versus Utah, away versus Kansas, and home versus Oklahoma State. So with that being said, what's your thoughts on that?
If you're asking me to predict a record, Jerome, I think they're going to be way better than they were last year. I do. I think their schedule is not nearly as difficult as it was last year. I think they're going to be, if you ask me to guess right off the top of my head, I would say 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I bet you they win at least 9 games.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, Oklahoma State's a pretty solid team. Yeah. Kansas is iffy. They score points, but they give up points. Mm-hmm. Utah's a tough team. We know Utah's a physical team. That'll be a tough game for them. It was last year. They played close against Utah, but they got out muscled in the end. Texas Tech is a solid team. Cincinnati's not what they were a couple years ago. Arizona's nothing. Kansas State, again, another offensive team that you never know what you're going to get. UCF is a solid program. Baylor, then the 3 teams they beat last year, 3 or 4 games. Colorado State, Nebraska, North Dakota State. They beat all of those teams last year, so I can't see why they wouldn't beat them again.
I understand. Yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, every team get a little bit better. But even with my skill about North Dakota State, I do expect them to win that game. I do. Now, it's going to be a close game. If it starts being a close game, we start seeing North Dakota State playing well, you might get a little worried because North Dakota State is a good team, right? So we'll see how that goes. I think that, I'll say Chicago. Colorado is a better team, though. I really do think so. They should beat Nebraska. I think they should beat Colorado State. Butler, they should beat them. Now it starts getting rough right after that. So I think they should start off 4-0. USC can, they can play, and I think USC might actually beat them. Kansas State can be a coin flip. Arizona, I think they can beat Arizona. I think they can beat Tennessee. Texas Tech is going to be a close one, but I think they can beat them as well. Utah, I don't think they can beat Utah. I think Kansas is a really improved team. I think they're going to be good too. Oklahoma State, I think it should beat them. So I'm only giving them like 3 or 4 losses. So, yeah, that's a good season. 9-4, sorry.
If somebody were to tell me, like, I don't get to watch them play spring football, of course, but if somebody were to tell me, yo, our offensive line is playing really better, way better this year than last year, then I'd be a lot more confident in them. But until I see that, then I really don't know what to think. I know they're talented on offense. What receivers are good, quarterback's good. Is their line going to be good? Is the biggest question.
Now, speaking of their offensive line, I just want to ask you this quick question because there's a little bit of controversy going around with it. But, during the college football video game release, they had Shador and Travis Hunter playing the game, and both of them was playing at their team, obviously. Both of them had Colorado. During the game, the first game at least, Travis Hunter seemed like he didn't know how to really play. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's getting just in the game. And Shador was really running the ball all against Travis, and Travis was getting sacked a lot. And one of the things that Travis said is this game's way too realistic. Our offense is trash. What's your thoughts on that? You think that you think that's a big deal for him to say those type of things about his offensive line? Obviously, from last year, it's a known fact that the offensive line was bad. But should he not say something like that? What's your thoughts on that, Greg?
I don't think anybody doesn't know that Colorado's offensive line wasn't good last year.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, dude, like, probably means this, that he didn't play a lot of video games as a young guy. You know,
Yeah, I think that's what the thing too. It was like in the heat of how the game was kind of going, kind of said that. I think I wouldn't take too much of it, especially with them having such a new offensive line this year, and he really haven't seen how the offensive line is together this year. I wouldn't take too much stock into it. Wish he kind of protect himself a little bit, because you know how social media is these days with saying stuff like that. But I don't take a huge offense to it, like we already said. Like we all know how bad the offensive line is. It's no secret. Worst offensive line in college football. Give up the most sacks. Can't deny that. So
I mean, they only even in the run game, they average like 3 yards a carry.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't a good offensive line all year. So, like, again, he's not telling anybody anything they don't know. Or is his teammates going to be a little offended by it? I don't know. You'd have to ask them. You know,
maybe. I still think he was kind of saying it in regards of how it was last year.
Right. And again, like you said, Jordan Seaton, hey, man, a good left tackle can change the outcome of the whole offensive line. We all know that. You get one stud out there, and it kind of makes everybody else look a little bit better. So we'll see.
We'll definitely see. All right, let's get to our last team, Ray. Actually, you're doing pretty good on time. That's awesome. USC. So USC is going to have a huge change, obviously, with their number one quarterback not being there. But it's not going to be being replaced with Miller Moss being their quarterback. Before I get into that, I totally forgot to tell about last year. So their record from last year was a 8-5 record. Now, in my mind, I felt like they played a lot better. I thought their record was a lot higher than 8-5. But that ended up 8-5. They were 5-4 in the conference. So let's dive into it. Like I was saying, Riley Moss is now going to be the head guy there at quarterback. We'll see how that goes. They got a lot of good receivers. Obviously, Zachariah Moss, who's a very speedy receiver, he's out there. Jacoby Lane, Deuce Robinson, a couple of wide receivers. Running back is going to be Woody Marks, running back Tramper that came in as well. What's your thoughts on the offense as a whole, Ray?
I think their offense is good. I think we saw the Miller Moss that has some talent at quarterback. He played in the bowl game last year and played very well, threw for 370 yards and 6 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So the kid looks like he has talent, looks like he has potential. Again, I think a lot of there are going to depend on how well the offensive line plays, because the offensive line, Caleb Williams hit a lot of the blemishes last year. Now, you saw in the bowl game where, yes, there is something to be said about a quarterback is just taking what's there instead of trying to make big plays downfield the whole game. That's where I think Caleb Williams got into. He's just so used to making plays that he got a little bit into my offensive line, especially the right side, is not great. If I see pressure from that side, just get rid of the ball. He didn't do it. Where Miller Moss did, you saw him check down right away and hit a couple of really nice plays in the bowl game. So, again, I'm not knocking Caleb Williams because I still think he's a talent. But sometimes it's better with a guy who's not trying to just make big plays and just takes what's there.
Correct. Yeah, I agree with that. We'll definitely see how that goes, man. Because, they got a lot of good receivers. I even forgot to mention Makai Lemon, another good receiver for them. So, spread offense, they're going to have a lot of receivers on the field. Offensive line, like you said, right, it's going to be determined by them. They got a freshman that's in there right now and a sophomore. So 2 young guys in there. The rest of them are 2 of them are seniors, the interior guys, and Noah Lonham and Emmanuel Hingman. And then Madison Murphy as a junior. So we'll see how they how the offensive line kind of holds up. But I got to kind of be stand in the pocket a little bit more instead of like always stretching the field and that kind of thing. And the ball I think a little bit better.
I just think a lot of it is about processing quickly, get the ball out of my hands, get the ball into Zachariah Branch and Deuce Robinson, give them a chance to make a play for me, as opposed to holding on and waiting for guys to break wide open. I mean, there's nothing wrong with just taking what the defense gives you every once in a while.
100%. Now let's talk about the defense, right? Because it was a bad defense last year. That's going to be real. A lot of games that, Caleb Williams, if they did win, was because of how Caleb Williams was playing and things like that. What's your thoughts on how the defense looked?
Defense was horrible last year. I mean, the defense, and the reason why it seemed like they were better than they were is they won their first 6 games, and then their defense completely just fell apart. And again, though, not a criticism of the quarterback, maybe more of a criticism of the coach. I think me and you talked about, and even some other guys, maybe LaMarcus with us, they needed to run the ball to keep their defense off the field sometimes, and they refused to do it, except for in the bowl game. They ran the ball in the bowl game, and it just goes to show you, my defense is struggling. What can I do to help my defense? Make sure when they come on the field, they're fresh.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even on defense, to me, it's going to depend on, can they get the young guys to come in and contribute on defense. There's 2 ways of thinking about it. Either you could put studs out there, or you put fresh guys out there, because hopefully they're playing against guys that aren't as fresh as them. So you need to rotate linemen in and out of the game to keep your guys fresh when you're not playing well on defense.
No, I understand. I think it's a lot of transfers that on that defense right now, and it's unfortunate because they were full of some good recruits this year coming in, and then a lot of them flipped on them. So USC is going to have some issues on defense. They're going to have to keep going through that transfer portal. From looking on here, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Their whole defense is transfer portal except for Jalen Smith, the senior right here. So anybody kind of stands out to you on that defense, at least, though?
I mean, Bear Alexander is a big kid who's a junior nose tackle, who's a good 2-gap penetrating guy who takes on blockers. The question is, when you block him, are you going to just have a gaping hole to run through? Because that's what happened last year. That really is the biggest thing. To me, their biggest weakness is in their secondary, because they're young there and they haven't showed to be that talented. I mean, like you said, Jerome, you look at their schedule last year, the first 4 or 5 games, they were okay. And then it was 41, 41, 48, 34, 49, 52, 36, 38. You can't win games giving up, 30, 40 points a game. You can't. So even if you have the best college quarterback in the league.
Yeah, correct. And like you were saying earlier, a lot of that plays into the fact that, having a guy that can score at will and always looking for the long ball, yeah, that's great, but it's going to dampen your defense, especially if they're not good defense. And get them out. They're going to be out there a lot longer. They're going to get exposed more. They're going to get tired more, and when you do that, then you're going to really get a lot of pressure on your quarterback. You cannot do that this year. Again, we both think that Raleigh Moss, we both said Miller Ross,
No.
You think that Miller Ross is going to be a good quarterback, but he's not going to be. I don't think he's going to be a Caleb Williams, and you cannot have your quarterback. You put all that pressure on your quarterback if he's not a super special kind of quarterback. And he's going to be good. I'm not taking anything away from him, but he's not like a Caleb Williams type of player that's going to be able to will you back like he did, because he's not that type of guy, So you don't have to make sure that you're running the ball, have a substantial drive and things like that. So your defense is not out there at all.
Yeah, I mean, again, they've revamped their defense. They've changed defensive coordinators. I think they're going to give Lincoln Riley. I mean, Lincoln Riley, we all know, is a good play caller and a good offensive mind. So we'll see how that works out. I wonder if he's a little bit – I think he loved Caleb Williams, but I think that he feels like Caleb Williams got more credit than he deserved to.
You think so?
I think that you saw him call a little bit of a different game in the bowl game with a less experienced quarterback. And again, maybe he called the games the same way for Caleb Williams, but Caleb was just didn't want to take that check down sometimes.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, but if your offensive line is struggling, what do? You get the ball out of the quarterback's hands.
100%. Quick and run the ball. Yep.
Correct.
You utilize your tight end.
If your offensive line can't protect them, that's the only way you can protect them.
Correct. All right, let's get into their schedule real quick. LSU's the first game of the season. They're going to be playing up. They're going to be home for that. They're going to be home for Utah State. They're going to be at Michigan, who has a really good defense. So we'll see how that goes. They're going to be home for Wisconsin, at Minnesota, home for Penn State. They're going to be at Maryland, home for Rutgers. I totally forgot they're in the Big 12 because I'm over here the Big 10. I forgot they're in the Big 10 because I'm like, holy crap, why are they playing all these teams? I forgot. Washington, they're going to be at Washington. They're going to be home for Nebraska, at UCLA, and then finish the season against your Notre Dame fighting. So, what's up on their record right there, right?
You know what, Jerome? I'm going to say 8-5 again, maybe 9-4. If you honestly, I don't think they're going to beat Notre Dame. I don't think they may not beat UCLA. They're not going to beat Michigan, I don't believe. They probably won't beat LSU, but they can beat LSU. They're not more talented than Penn State, but what's Penn State coach going to do that day would be my question about that game. But I think they're headed for the same type of record they had last year, 8-4, 9-4, 9-5. I'm sorry, 8-4.
Yeah, I give them 9 as well, Ray. The teams like Notre Dame. Notre Dame's going to be the hardest team to play. I personally think. LSU. So first game LSU. Notre Dame is going to be the hardest 2 games. Michigan. I think Michigan is the team that they don't want to play because they have a really good defense, and then they have their UCLA defense is not that good, so that plays in favor of Michigan. So we'll see how that goes. I think they can beat Wisconsin. I think they can beat Minnesota. They can beat Penn State, depending on how coaching is. We always talk about that. Penn State is a very talented team. They shouldn't beat. Honestly, just looking on paper, I think Penn State should beat them. But we'll see
great.
They should beat Maryland, I think. I think they should beat Rutgers. Washington, I think they're going to beat Washington. Washington's going to have the same team as last year. Nebraska is going to be a tough one, but I think they can beat them as well. It's UCLA, I think UCLA is going to beat them. So I think that brings me around like 9, I believe. I counted it earlier. So it's going to be interesting. They're going to be playing a lot of teams they're not used to playing. Different type of weather that they're not used to playing, obviously, being in California. They're playing a lot of cold weather teams this year. So I think that's going to play a factor.
That's the other thing that I think we're not realizing. Traveling across country in Michigan, Minnesota, Maryland, that's not going to be fun for these kids, man. That's going to be a new experience for them.
100%. Yeah. So we'll definitely see how that goes, man. I'm looking forward to seeing how this new conference change works. We got the new conference change. We got the new playoff system that's going to be in system now. Back in the day, thinking about a 10-win team or maybe even a 9-win team, you're like, oh, yeah, they're not going to the playoffs. Any team can go to the championship now with the way the system is. 12-team system. You get a 9-win team that goes in there and you get hot at the right time, like Alabama did last year, got hot at the right time. I think it helps with the committee not having that struggle as much with the top 4. But again, it's gonna be interesting how it kind of plays out with, because it is still the top conference teams get the top 4, and then I think it kind of trickles down from that. So we'll definitely see how it goes. Interesting to see.
I don't think it's going to be what people think, dude. I don't think USC is going to. I'm not going to say they're not going to be a quality team because they will be a quality team. They're not going to dominate the Big Ten the way they did the Pac-12. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. It's gonna be because the Big 12. I guess you can call it Big 12 now. Big 10. They're gonna have it's more than 10 though, but they're gonna have a lot more defensive type of teams, man. And that's what I'm saying with Michigan.
That's the point, Jerome. That's where you're going to see like teams like Michigan, even Minnesota to a certain extent, Penn State, even Wisconsin. They're physical football teams. They might not even be as talented as USC has been over the last 5 or 10 years, but they're going to be as physical as them, if not more physical. There's no question about that.
Right. Definitely. No, I 100% agree with that.
I mean, like, if you look at the schedule here, they play Maryland, they play Rutgers, they play Washington, which is fine. My question for them would be when they play Utah, then they got to travel across the country and play Michigan. And then they got to go home and play Penn State, and then travel to Maryland, and then play Rutgers at home, and then travel to Washington. Man, that's not going to be fun.
Yeah. Going into all that cold weather too.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how this goes and plays out, man.
Yeah, I know if I'm Penn State, Minnesota, Maryland, I'm hoping it snows.
For real. No, for real. And I don't think I've ever seen them play in a snow game. I don't think I've ever seen them play.
I mean, matter of fact, I may get myself a snow machine and make sure there's at least a layer of snow in the field when they play.
You're gonna let them have a snow game for the Michigan game?
You know what, Jerome? It's funny. Like last year, USC's defense was bad. Notre Dame scored 48 points on them and really ran the ball the whole fourth quarter and still scored 48 points.
Yeah.
Their defense was like Swiss cheese, man. It was horrible. It was bad.
Yeah.
And, Notre Dame doesn't usually score points like that, and they never run the score up.
Yeah.
So that was to score 48 against USC. Man, that's like Junior Seau turning over in his grave watching that crap. Okay.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, that's gonna do it for us today, guys. We appreciate y'all getting on, man.
Just bringing out one of USC's best. That's all.
Yes. No, you're right. 100%. I hope you guys enjoy, man. That's gonna do it for us today, guys. Obviously, football season is very close. We're super excited about it. We're gonna be doing a lot of more football stuff. Obviously, gonna wrap up with the season, so keep on lock. Next week we're gonna continue with some more teams. We're gonna bring you another 5 set of teams. So if you guys have a special team that you guys want us to talk about, hit it in the comment section below. As you see right behind me, you got the QR code right there and the QR code right under Ray. Ray, if you don't mind pointing to the QR code for me.
Right there.
Yes, sir. You scan that and you go to all our social media and you can find us on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. It does help and support us. And you can always see the next episode. And you can also write a comment on there. If you can't watch live and you're watching later on, come back, hit a comment on there. Let us know what team you want us to talk about, and we'll talk about it. You can also put your live comments in here. So if you're on here live as well, hit live comments. Let us know what you think about a team and what you think their record is going to be. If you're wrong about a record, if you think, let us know, man. We like not bad, but we like conflicting opinions, and that's perfectly fine. If you think something we're saying is not right, let us know, man. It's of course it's either way, so we appreciate it, man. We love the back and forth, and we'll let you know why we think the way we do, and you tell us what you think, and we'll have it like that. But we always happy and good to have our fans in here as well. So we see we got a couple of fans in here right now watching, so we appreciate y'all. If you can, definitely check out Phenom. They're the sponsor of this podcast. They helped us out, and we want to help you guys out as well. Get 10% off of all the Phenom products. Like I showed you guys, we got the gloves, we got cleats, we got hats, we got towels, everything you need. If you go to PhenomEliteBrand.com, and at the top right there, you see where it says promo code. Use that promo code when you check out to get 10% off. Save you a little cash, and you look fly on the floor, man. Season coming up, you gotta look good. Look good, feel good, feel good, You know how Dion said it. So make sure to check out PhenomEliteBrand.com. Well, that's gonna do it for us today, guys. I'm Jerome Jones. That's right, Robert Rivera. We appreciate you so much for being on. See you next one. Peace.